Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight on Just Another Podcast, we have a very special guest, Shaheeda Yasmeen. Shaheeda, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. Nice plants in the background.
Thank you.
So I have known Shaheeda since 2005, but didn't talk to her until 2007 because I was kind of scared of her.
All right.
You had a very menacing demeanor. I didn't know, I was like, listen, I grew up with enough black women giving me attitude. I don't want no problems. But Shaheeda, once I started speaking to Shaheeda, I saw a very, very powerful, very forceful, very energetic, very polite, very intelligent person who loved her community. I mean, she bleeds the Lower East Side as much as anyone I know, probably even more. She's got it on her shirt right now. And she's just one of many people that I've met that I'm proud to know. And yeah, man, Shaheeda, welcome to the show. How you doing? What's going on?
Thank you. Nothing. I'm just, relaxing. I'm home. Hard day at work,
Okay.
So I'm just here. What's going on? I've known Hector has been he's my brother, right? When you think of like 9 to 5s, working in community-based organizations, you hope to have a colleague like him. I know he said he was scared of me, but I thought I was always pretty friendly to people. But
No.
I guess you never know.
No.
So
At least that's not what I thought. At least that's what I thought. It wasn't
how
that,
you were really.
that wasn't the case. Honestly, it was more me than anything. But
Oh,
you definitely had like this. You had this wall, and plus you wasn't from like you was part of Grand Street, but you was from up the block.
Beacon.
You was
And
from
that's
the
what
Beacon, and there was that
It's
divide. There was like, oh, the Beacon's wild. You don't want to go over there. And I was like, really? Beacon's wild? And then I went over there. It wasn't even that bad.
Pitt was 80 Pitt was like,
yeah, it was soft. It was soft.
yeah. So it's like, come on now. And the thing is, I grew up in 80 Pitt. So what we're talking about is our old organization we used to work with. And I grew up there, like literally from a child. I was a daycare there and everything. My mother worked there. I remember when the executive director was a black woman, like in the 80s, in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? Hopkins, you know what I'm saying? Before it got turned over to all the how it turned out to be, you know what I mean? But like I grew up in 80 Pitt, so for people from 80 Pitt to look at me like crazy back then, I used to look at y'all like, I ran through the hallways. We had sleepovers there. We went to Bear Mountain. Like before you even came over here or thought about LES, we were here,
Definitely.
So for me, that was, and a lot of the Beacon kids felt that way too because they also came up through 80 Pitt, and that's what new staff members never really understood. Like it was like, who are y'all? Don't better play us, and we over here now, and we better than y'all, and we was. So that's we had to pop in at the
yeah, definitely did. Yeah, definitely did.
Especially
at the Halloween parties and stuff.
Everything.
Y'all would come through and have like dance numbers, and the kids our kids would be looking like, I'd be like, yo, don't look at me. I don't coordinate dance. Better go figure it out.
Listen, they had me over there. So after that, long story short, good times. Hector is definitely a good folk to work with because the vision and the passion and the loyalty be there. You know what I mean? So it's like if you don't have that, you don't have that humility to work with the children who are going through whatever they're going through, then it's hard to work with somebody who doesn't have that. And it was always he kept it 100 with me. He would give me a look, and then I know what he's talking about without even having to say anything. Like real talk, So it's like it was always respectful because it's like even though you wasn't from the lower, you also got it out the mud, and you also worked in with people who really needed the support, and you was there, and you was a constant, and you grew, and you was one of the first people to tell me about like a financial situation in terms of like work and salary. Like, you know, 1 year I was making this, and the next year I was making that. And I was happier making the less money because the other shit was, you know, and it's like I started to relate to that now, you know? So it's just crazy how when you're in the nonprofit world for so long and then you switch up and do something different, and then it's like, damn, you took a leap of faith, but then it's like, damn, maybe I needed to pray more because I need to find this, you know, just for the bread. And then it's like, it's just, yeah. So that's what's going on.
Okay, so before we delve a little deeper into that, I'd like to pick your brain a little bit about Shaheeda growing up. You know, I know that you grew up devout Muslim. You and another friend I have are like my primary education about what it is to be Muslim. I mean, your dad and with your family and stuff like that. Like, so let's go back. Let's go back. Like, so Shaheeda, you know, growing up, what was that like for you? Where did you grow up? Did you lived in the lower all your life? Did you grow up in the lower? Or?
I lived there my whole life, but yes, I grew up in there. So the backstory is that my father got murdered in DC. My mother was pregnant with me. After I have 4 siblings who are older than me. Wow. My father was he drove a cab, but he also taught inmates how to read at a local facility in Washington, D.C. and in Virginia and in a DMV area. And he got murdered or whatever. They said it was a robbery by a heroin addict, but it wasn't, because at that time there was a lot of imams getting murdered in the DMV. Because you know they didn't need another Malcolm, you know. So anybody who was trying to do something for people, they did that early, you know.
Wow.
So my Umi moved back to the projects in the Lower East Side to Baruch, with my grandma.
Baruch.
Baruch, not Baruch.
Not Baruch.
Not Houston. Houston,
right.
You know, but she moved back to LES, and so I was born and raised in Baruch Projects. You know, next to y'all drive next to. I remember when there was jams, when the jams first started coming through. I remember the 80s in LES, a lot of abandoned, burnt out buildings if you didn't live in the projects. And you walk up the Ave, you walk up Grand Street, it was Hasidic Jews and the co-ops. Then you Chinatown, then you had like where you at over there, Knickerbocker, that was all Italians, and you had Smith, you had Little Italy, and like when people ask me where I grew up, I just be like, I was able to, in like a 10-block radius, be in every country, like be in Puerto Rico, be in Dominican Republic, you know what I'm saying? Be in Italy, be in China, you know, be in Israel, like, and be in the projects with the black, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we had all of that in LES. So it's like, I feel like that's why I've always been so easy to speak to people, because we had so many different people in LES. Then you had the Mexicans cooking and the Ratners, like, it was a whole lot. Like, so you were able to really grow up here. And I feel like I didn't realize we was poor until I got a little older. Like, I didn't realize how poor we was. You know what I'm saying? Like, like I remember standing on the government cheese line and all that, but just being like, yo, we about to have grilled cheese sandwiches. Being happy about
that cheese was good as hell.
You know, like, I had food stamps. I knew there wasn't real money, but I knew that shit bought food, and I know that I ate. Like, I know we ate oodles and noodles, and my mother made that shit into lo mein. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to say, but we also had restaurants. We also used to, you know what I'm saying? My mother also exposed us to different things. All 5 of us, all around the city. You know what I mean? So, like, I remember it being us. It's just being about us until, for me, I started getting older. I was outside playing. I used to climb trees in the projects, bro. And that's how I did not know I was broke until I wanted stuff. Even though I was spoiled. I was very spoiled. I was a baby. I got everything I wanted. Period. Like, that's why I had to start working early. Because you can't keep up with dance, oh, I gotta get a job. Like, you know what I
There
mean?
you go.
So
There you
I
go.
asked my Umi for a gold chain, and she was like, because we wore silver, okay? We made our jewelry, all right? That's the type of family I came from. My
Okay.
mother making everybody's outfits, you
Okay.
know? I come from making incense in a project bathroom tub, like real talk. That's my heritage. That's what I come from. And so growing up in LES and then being black and then being Muslim, what LES used to stand for, look, everybody's Spanish.
Mm.
Even though my grandmother then moved down here in the 60s, so it
Right.
wasn't really look everybody Spanish, but in my era it was.
Right.
Because
Right.
being a black girl, it was only but so many black families in Rouge. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Mm.
maybe 10, maybe 10. Like
Wow.
people knew each other because those are the people who were there from the 60s, from the 70s. Because
Wow.
when my mom and them moved here to the projects, it was Irish people,
Yeah.
it was Italians. It
Mm.
wasn't Spanish and black. It was, it was
Right. Right.
that time period when you had affordable housing and it wasn't made for us. People always think the projects were made for black people. They
No.
wasn't.
No. No.
It's-
Yeah. It
And
was
those
made for people that
Europe,
couldn't afford to. Yeah. Right.
yeah, Lower East Side specifically because the first project housing development was right here on Avenue A. First houses was in LES, the first project ever built.
What's the name of that one?
First houses.
First Houses. That's what that was
It was
called. I've never known that project was called First. Actually, I've seen the sign. I think I'm not sure. Oh
I'm
wow,
sure
it's good. I have seen sign, but I know
so
those
that's
projects.
show
But
you
I
what it was really for and who it was really for. Because
Mhm.
LES at that time was there wasn't no Puerto Ricans down here. It wasn't that many black people out here. Like it wasn't for us. So anyway, all that to say, that's how I grew up out here. Like just going to pit pool, going to Tishry pool, walking to 23rd, like going to after school program, being a cheerleader, like going to Globe Park, watching basketball games in the summer. That was my upbringing, and I feel like we were so rich, but we were so broke.
Rich in community,
Yeah,
rich
my
in community,
people,
definitely.
my family.
Mhm.
Like real talk. I really do love LES. People talk about it, and it's like it's a love and hate these days because the gentrification, the different
Right.
people are out here, and now I'm living somewhere different. I'm not living in Rouge, but I'm still in LES,
Mhm.
and just seeing the dichotomy of the community is just so distracting.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy on the low that I'm able to get in my car, cross the bridge, and go to Brooklyn and be a principal now, and not even have to deal with just the bullshit. Because
Right.
coming out my building is the bullshit. It's like everybody got dogs. I had a dog. His name was Hova. I gave him away. But everybody got dogs. These white people and Chinese people, everybody in Spanish, everybody loves some dogs. Mad dogs in the building. So it's like you just be in the elevator, they're looking at y'all spent $5,000 on that dog, didn't you? Like that's you know what I'm saying? And the project, they go blah, 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 unless they were beating them. Like you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like
So
living now. I'm happy to be able to go because now it's just different. It's the same, but it's different.
you sound like you have some survivor's guilt a little bit, which happens when you either people in your life died and you were the last person standing, or even when like people that you grew up with, you grew up in a certain place, and now you come into the means to provide a better life for yourself. And it's you kind of look at that and be like, man, people tend to fall into the trap of feeling like they are a sellout. And it's like, no, you're not a sellout. Like you just have, it's okay. Like you've earned after everything that you've gone through, because when everybody took a left, you made a right. And what ended up happening was the fruits of your labor are now bearing that. And they're continuing to bear it till you retired, and then you decide whatever else you want to do in your next chapter of your life. But those are the fruits of your labor. And I think I always got the sense of that from you, in the sense of community. Not talking about the survivor's guilt, because that is what it is. And I'm saying that you do, but it kind of sounds like that a little bit. But in terms of like the community, I always felt like you embody that, and you embraced all cultures, because the Lower East Side is a melting pot. There is a melting pot, you know, like there's literally, it's Chinatown and the Lower East Side are, I mean, literally, I walk up the block, I'm in Chinatown. I woke up the other block, I'm in the Lower East Side.
Exactly.
So, you know, it's interwoven into itself, and then you do have, there is a Jewish community down here. There is, I mean, there's a lot of history and a lot of community down here, especially at that time. People like you and there were others who were like mainstays down here that kind of educated me on what it was to live in the Lower East Side, and what you know, to hold that up and what that meant to you guys. And I always respected that, to be honest with you, because you know, I've been, you know, I'm from all over New York. I'm from all, like, I'm, you know, like I would rep Harlem, but Harlem is just a small part of my life. You know, I lived in Staten Island, I lived in Queens, I've lived all over, you know, so New York is my home, but I've also, the places that I live, there's like little pieces I got to see and take part in different types of cultures. And, you know, I'm not gonna say I love the Lower East Side the most, but I like living down here. I do. I like, listen, I love living down here. I don't care. I love living down here. But whether it was before the gentrification or after, like, I love living down here because this is the only place where you see street art, you see the regular homies hanging out, you see, you know, the gentrifiers walking, you know, you see all those, you see, you know, but you see all of that, and it all comes together, and it's kind of like we're all down here, and you know, and the gentrifiers. Listen, I mean, it's respectful, like, you know, I mean,
it used to not be respectful though.
No,
I remember when it wasn't respectful, so it's like they improved as well, because now they come over here acting crazy. You know what I mean? Just like you can't go to any community just acting crazy like you own everything. But what's interesting is being able to live in a accepting, diverse community is different than what people are used to. And that's really what it is. I feel like we got, even our hoodest people are still on, you know, because you can't help what you see and who you experience in the stores that you go to, and the laundromat you wash your clothes in. Like we're interwoven, like you said. Like you could be in one building and have mixed income of folks. So you're gonna have to interface with different type of people, regardless of their color, regardless of their gender. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of whatever, it's gonna happen.
Definitely.
And you know, and I think it's the beauty of it. It's the beauty of what community is. Whatever community you live in, you're always gonna have people who are different from you. Even if they're the same nationality as you, same religion, there's still gonna be differences, you know? And it's about accepting those differences. And, you know, I don't even want to use the word tolerate. I want to use the word like
embrace.
Well, can I see that then it is what it is. It's like
embrace.
It's like the acceptance of it. It's an acceptance. It's an acceptance. And you know, I think everything happens for a reason. Me being raised here and me being the only one in my family who's still down here. So it's like I might be from LES, but I did live in Brooklyn. I did live in Queens. I did live in the Bronx. I never lived in Harlem though, but I have family in Harlem. And I worked in Staten Island. So, like you,
the group home. I remember
city.
that. I remember your stories about the group home. I remember that. I remember your stories about that.
God bless all those young men.
Yeah.
Pray for all the staff members. Like that was a different thing.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I always learn something new about the people that I know when we go through these things. Like I didn't know your dad was murdered. I mean, I definitely appreciate you sharing that with me. But moving on. So growing up, Lower East Side was a melting pot. You moved back here. You were a child, and you were one of 10 Black families. You felt, and because the Lower East Side was mostly rich in Latin culture, as well as
the project was at that time. Okay. All of y'all came at the same.
All y'all.
The boats came at the same time.
Oh man. Okay. So, tell me what it was like growing up for you as a teenager in the Lower, especially like because when I met you, I don't think you were an adult. I met you in 2005. How old were you in 2005?
I was a grown person in 2005.
Yeah.
I'm 43 years old.
Oh, so we're the same age. Okay. Yeah. You didn't look it. You don't ever look your age.
Well, you know.
When's your birthday?
Black don't crack. February.
Oh, you older than me too.
Yeah, I know that. I knew that.
You older than me. It's interesting.
Yeah. See, people often, you know.
I thought you were younger.
The ageism, huh?
I thought you were younger though.
No.
Black don't crack. You're right about that.
I'm a grown woman. I'm a grown woman.
Okay, so what was it? So what was it like growing up? Because basically you grew up in the same era, so the 90s. The 90s in the Lower East Side, what was that like?
The 90s in the Lower East Side was 12 Park. 12 Park, that's when I started going up the hill. Like in the early 90s, I was still in junior high school 22, so you know. But in like 90 something, 92, I was still damn shit. Even earlier than that. Like, so growing up in the LES in the 90s for me was, I was always very active arts-wise, dancing, singing, acting, you know. I've always been like outside. Like in the 90s for me is like when I found out what it was to be outside, you know. I was the one kid in my family that was always outside in the streets in LES. Like I was in every park. I was in the ad, I was up the hill, you know, but once I came up the hill, it was different up the hill because there was more Black families. When I think about my 90s, I think about singing a lot. I'm thinking about Mary J. Blige, how music influenced me. That was Bad Boy era.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Before that was R&B, and then it was hip hop and R&B. Like rap and R&B back then in the early 90s was different until I said Daylight Soul and all of that other stuff, like neo soul. All of that shit was the 90s musically. So music had a heavy impact on me. I thought I was the next Mary J. Blige. I thought I was gonna be the next big thing. You know what I'm saying? And then the 90s also for me was like be hating on fucking Ashanti because we both went to the same album agency, and this bitch is talking about. You know what I'm saying? But the 90s also brought me opportunities to sing with Mariah Carey in high school.
Wow. That's
you know
amazing.
what I'm saying? It brought me opportunities to go to City College in Harlem. Right. You know, so it's like the 90s was, and I was still working the whole time.
Nice.
I always had a job since I was 13 years old. I always had a job. I only not had a job 2 times in my life for 6 months. After that, it was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? And so I think that's why being involved in the community was always so beneficial, because you always had a job if you was working in the community.
Yep. After school program.
Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I saw the opportunity there. I was like, all right, I could do this. I could teach dance. I went from teaching dance to being a tutor to being a special events coordinator, whatever the fuck I was at the Beacon. I don't remember. And a dance teacher. Then I worked for LES Teens, the pregnancy prevention joint. Then I was still a dance teacher doing that. And then I was a substitute for the DOE, working everywhere. Like, and then it's like I think about my life and just the trajectory of it in the 90s. This is just the 90s. This ain't even 2000s, nothing. Just the 90s. I was in Cultural Harmony with Henry Street Settlement. I performed at the inauguration for Nydia Velasquez. You feel what I'm saying? And I had to be like 12 years old, 13 years old. Wow. 12. I was definitely 12 because I got $25 of stipend for each performance. And we only did 10 performances.
Right.
But we have mad practice. The practice is like every day. You know what I'm saying? So like I think about all those things that made me in a different experience I had, and now here I am at 43, right? After the 90s is over, then the 2000s came. That was a whole nother shit. The 2000s I was bidding. I'm not even gonna hold you. The 2000s I was bidding. My husband got locked up twice. So that's 10 years of the 2000s. It's only how many, you know what I'm saying? Before we got to 2020, it was only 20 years. Half of them years I was bidding.
Okay. Wow.
And in college, and working, and taking care of my little cousin whose father was in jail. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I think that, and I'm like, what year that song came out? Like, this time periods that I literally do not remember. Like, I don't even connect with certain shit.
Right.
Until somebody like you be like, oh, remember in 2005? I'm like, you said that.
So now, I mean, obviously, you being a grown woman and all, being older than me, just want to point that out. And so now, you know, because I've seen you in various stages of your career, and you know, shout out to you because you've moved up.
I mean, I feel like I got a pretty good track record. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of the young ladies who grew up with some of my guidance, you know what I'm saying, are doing okay. Like a good amount of them, a good amount. Like just to have the influence. And some of them I wouldn't even have known until recent because we follow each other on social media or whatever, and I might like something. You're like, you know, you always did for me. You was always you know, and it's like hearing that, and then plus the ones who have remained close to me. I can really say like, nah, like the shorties who came up under me, they getting their PhDs, they police officers, they entrepreneurs, they got their own businesses, you know what I'm saying? They wonderful mothers, they're educators, they're lawyers. Like I got a lot of young ladies who came up under me who are excelling in life. They travel, they got vehicles, they got their children. They're not letting no man like stop them from doing nothing. And some of them got men, some of them are lesbians, some of them, whatever they doing, they making sure that they are putting themselves first and they're happy. Not to say they didn't go through shit, because everybody goes through shit, but it's good to look and see like, hi, I see you, you know, like 100%. You know, and then I support them. Like if you got a business, I'm going to you to get waxed. And that's a big like barrier like this to get waxed. You don't want nobody you know like really going to do all of those self-care things. But I'm because like I've seen you before you had your period. Like, you know, and it's like, and then even the young men, some of them ain't really doing as good as they could be doing, but there's a lot of them that are. There's a lot of people who went the other way through our influence. You know, AB, you know what I'm talking about? Rare Era.
Yeah.
I remember I remember telling him, I'm like, yo, you like, yo, I don't really play ball. Like, I remember him saying that to me. I'm like, so go to the club.
Yeah.
I said, make some t-shirts or something. Make a t-shirt, and he got the Gap.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's in a space that's like, not to say I'm the one that said, oh, you know, but if somebody didn't say, nigga, make some t-shirts and sell them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, and then you see Day Day, and then you see just so you see everybody just still like moving and trying to be better and get better. It's just like hopefully I had a little bit of influence in that, because we was there every day with them kids. Some of them kids didn't even eat if it wasn't for us. Literally.
Very true.
Literally.
Yeah, I remember.
And people know when you really care and you don't care. Like people know. Like when people say, hey, how you doing? Certain people like, oh, how you doing? They don't really care. But other people, when you say, it's like, oh, how you doing? You good? You know what I mean? It's like, and I think that's what it takes when you work with community. That's when you work with people. It's that humanness.
Yeah, totally.
The humanity of it all, like really caring about somebody's success and not wanting to see nobody fucked up and really nobody failing. But it's like, I feel like competition has kind of taken a lot away. Ego has taken that away from our people, from our communities. Like people have become complacent. They don't care. They'll let somebody walk by, let somebody disrespect someone else, and not step in out of not necessarily out of fear for getting, for anything, but just not really wanting to be involved in other people's shit because you got your own shit. And it's like, yeah, I respect it, but I can't, to this day, I can't walk by and see a man or a woman like being like combative with each other in the street. Like, yo, just walk away. Like, I gotta say something. I can't just be like, I done see my girlfriend from elementary school, her man pounding her head on the sidewalk. I didn't see that. And it was ironical in front of our elementary school.
Wow.
And he was sitting there doing that to her. And I was just like, yo, you bugging. Like, you gotta stop. You gotta go. And she's like, no, don't say nothing. And I remember this. That was a part of my 90s. My growing up. And I remember it so vividly because she was a fair Latina. She looked like a porcelain. She was beautiful. And to see the bruising on her, it was just like really shocking, right? And then he was older than us. I remember him being like my brother's age.
Wow.
So he was at least 5-6 years older than us. And being in junior high school and dealing with somebody 5 years older, that's a lot. That was a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not even in school no more. Like, and I'm just starting school type
I
thing.
used to hate those dudes. They used to get all the pretty girls, man.
She was a beautiful girl. And it's like, I used to see him and I used to just look at him like, and he used to always like put his head down when he saw me because like, you should have been doing that. Like, come on, like, don't do that. And my name means witness that there's only one God, martyr, friend. That's what my name means. And I'll be trying to really figure out like how my name connects to the experiences that I have and the jobs that I have and just the people who I connect with, and I'm witnessing life through God, whether I'm practicing and deaning or not. Like I'm still witnessing all of these things, and people's like, "Well, how come you're not learning for yourself? Why are you so hard headed?" I think it's because I'm so busy witnessing other people's situations and trying to make theirs better and trying to help them, and not, even expecting that reciprocation.
Well, this is a good segue because that was really dope. Okay. Well, I got a couple things I'm supposed to be doing, but this is a great segue because tell me about what's going on with you right now. I mean, professionally, side projects. Tell me what's going on with you right now.
Well, I'm learning to not talk about things that I'm doing on the side until I do them. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. But right now, I'm a building principal for a daycare center in Brooklyn.
Nice.
I opened it up June 21st. It was closed down. And I basically brought it up to code, brought it up to operation.
Of course you did.
Staff. I have a team, I have about 28 families, really 16 that come on a consistent basis because I don't have lead teachers. So things are a little slow in terms of enrollment, but I'm in the private sector now. I'm not in a nonprofit anymore. So I work for Hasidic Jews, that's a difference. That's a whole nother ball game, right? For the good things and the bad things, it's a whole different ball game. It's lessons every single day, putting out fires every day, dealing with staff members who I'm not used to. Like, I've never had to fire anybody. You know that? Ever.
Okay.
I gotta fire somebody. So I'm really struggling with that. But what I
first one is rough. The first one is rough.
It's gonna be really rough. It's gonna happen though. But I love working with babies and children. I'm sick right now. I don't know if you can hear it because one of them gave me a little cold, like, because the immune systems, they all stick together. Everybody stick together. Everybody gets healthy together. You know what I'm saying? So it's just interesting. But I really love these little kids. Like, they show me so much love, and it softened me. I believe that it softened me a lot from working with DYCD and working with a bunch of adults all day, every day, and,
Right.
So side projects, well, I'm still teaching dance at Abrams Art Center, hip hop on Saturdays. I still do that. That brings me joy and happiness.
Right.
I'm also trying to like start writing some books, for children. That's what this new gig as a daycare principal has opened my eyes to. Like, I see the books that they have. I'm like, I could do this. I could write some books from some pretty browns, So, partnering with my sister in terms of illustration to make that happen. And,
So,
I'm just happy right now. Like, my husband is thriving. He's doing well. Things are just things are just good right now. And I remember when it wasn't. I remember when I was stressing, and it's like I think about how many people who I came across when I was in those moments of like the parts that were not so great in my life,
mm-hmm.
and how people see me now. And I wonder what people think, because I keep more to myself now. I have a very close knit of folks who I communicate with. I'm an Aquarius, so if I'm feeling a certain kind of way about you, I definitely stay away from you. Definitely I'm learning to get out of spaces that don't make me feel comfortable, whether it be professional or personal. I love my home. I like my plants,
Right.
Listen to my music. I have affirmations up in the crib, I pray. So like what I'm doing right now, that's what I'm doing. I feel like I'm coming so much more into myself, and just the growth that I want to see happen. I'm getting a little older. I want more things to happen for me financially. It don't bring happiness, but money don't bring happiness, but it definitely brings a level of comfort that I'm seeking right now. But being a principal is interesting. It's in Brooklyn. I'm in Bed-Stuy. The block or where the school is in relationship to my neighbors, like I had to sweep up the floor. I had to sweep the debris. I had to sweep defecation. I gotta get them to paint the gate so that, because the graffiti there, like I don't have any children of my own, right? But I wouldn't want to push no carriage up into nowhere that smell like feces and garbage, So I think about things, and I just try to create a space that the kids are happy, and I go in there, I sing and I dance, and my staff are looking at me like crazy. I'm crazy. I'm like, this is what you need to be doing. They won't be running crazy if you engaging with them and having fun with them. So I'm the cook right now. I'm wearing multiple hats, and at this stage, I didn't think I would be doing all of this. I thought I was going to be able to be a principal and make decisions and wear my suits and all of that. But I'm happy where I'm at right now, because I know there's room for growth, personal growth, not even in the company, just personal growth. And I believe that I've always been blessed with getting money, so I know that's going to come. But it's now I'm at the point of doing the right thing with my money so I can secure the future that I want for myself, and the things I want to do, like have books, like write books. You know what I mean? Like really taking time to rebrand my nonprofit, and not even have a nonprofit, have a for-profit. Like, I did that, Infinite Movement definitely was a good move for me. It made me good money, but after COVID, after I had a dancer who passed away, it just really took me and shook me. So that was something I stopped doing, like as my own thing. And then I was presented with an opportunity to teach dance. I was like, it's only on Saturdays. They got to get the kids. Oh, and I'm getting paid. Before I was doing everything for $3.99, So I'm like, okay, I could do this. So I'm excited to be dancing again with these little children. And I got Chinese kids, Spanish kids, Black kids, white kids. It's like, I'm like, all right, this is what's up. And their parents are like my age. All of those kids' parents are my age or younger, So it's just interesting. And out of all of, like, I only came back because I have these 3 parents from last year. Like, you gotta come back. You gotta come back. Georgia was a little blonde hair, blue eyed little girl who could move her shoulders like I ain't never seen in the old East Side. I came back for her. I came back for Lucas, little Asian little boy who could dance. I call him Big Lou. I was like, oh, you guys are cool. You know, they were like, please come back, because I wasn't going to dance no more.
Right.
You know, I was like, you know, I'm done. I'm washed up. I can't do TikToks. I can't do all of that stuff. Like, I don't know nothing about that. I do old school hip hop, you know, but that's what I'm doing, and that's where I'm at. And I just, in terms of, because I know something you told me, you said, think about how you want to brand yourself. I was thinking about that hard. I was like, I guess it's for me, it's like really just what you see is what you get. I'm not trying to be anything or trying to promote anything for anybody to want to rock with me or nothing like that. It's like, you do, you don't, you don't. It's like, I am who I am. I'm a genuine person. And, you know, I let those people who want to be whatever it is they trying to do all of that.
Right.
Me, I feel like I worked hard, bust my ass my whole life. You know, I gave my mother money. I cook my husband dinner. You know what I'm saying? Like, I give people in the street food. Like, you know, like, I let people go ahead in front of me sometime when I'm driving, if I'm not, you know, speed racing. So it's like, I just try to live righteous. I just try to be a good person, be a fair person. You know what I mean? Love me or leave me alone. Like, I literally am on some old gold. And people say, oh, you need to still enjoy yourself, you need to do this and that. I'm like, I did that. I partied, hung out, you know what I'm saying? I went to the club, I did the cookouts, I did the this, that, and the third. Like, I'm going home. I'm going home. If I want to go out, I'm going to go out to eat because I don't want to cook. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to catch me in nobody's spot. Like, you're not going to catch me. Because I'm going to buy a bottle and I'm going to sit here. My big screen TV and my leather couches and my view. And I'm going to, you know? So that's where I am. But I do have, put it this way, I'm trying to be low with mine, and that's it. And just enjoy and be content and stay prayed up, and that's it. Because it's all low.
Definitely. I mean, you, from when I met you to even now, I mean, those are all the things that you deserve, and you've had growth career-wise, and you seem as if you're growing personally. And as you just said, you know, a person can be wise, but it's through experience that you truly understand, you know, the way things are, or not even the way things are, but for you, you know, and that's a thing that's most important, right? You focusing on you. Can't focus on everybody else if you're not well. And I mean, you can try, but
you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah, 100%. So, you know, I always, especially, you know, I used to laugh when people say, you know, I love you more than I love myself. No, you don't. It's impossible. Can't. You can't. You cannot.
Because people do that. People do that.
It ends horribly. That's what I'm saying. You can't.
And that's my point.
It ends horribly. You can't. See, right. It doesn't end. There's no happy ending to that. It ends up in a horrible place, and with trauma and scars, physically and mentally. So
and spiritually. Soul ties are real, man.
100%. Well, I mean, are there any last words? Because you've definitely shared a lot, and I appreciate your time. I thank you. This was definitely a long time coming. You were on my mind. It wasn't, you know.
I mean, when I saw certain people get it first, I was like, really, Hector? I had to think, you know, you gotta give people grace, and everybody deserves to be highlighted and spoke to and spoke of, and you know, so I learned that in terms of last words, right? Acknowledgement is should not be the vein of your existence. You know, huh?
Shouldn't be seeked out.
Yeah, it shouldn't be something. Exactly. What's for you is meant for you is going to be for you. I may think I may feel like I've been through a lot, but I feel like there's so much more to come.
Oh,
And
100%.
it's like when you're ready to dream those big dreams again, it's never too late to do that. You know, I made a huge step, a leap from leaving where I was in terms of my profession and being that I don't have my own family and stuff like that. This is what it is for me. Like it's my job, it's my husband. You know what I mean? And I'm not doing quinceañeras, I'm not doing baby showers, I'm not doing all those things. I'm attending those for someone else. So for me, I'm realizing I could grind, and grind and grind and grind. I could grind. And it depends on what I'm grinding for and how I'm grinding. They say work smarter, not harder. So right now I'm on the trying to map it out and strategize so I could still be successful with minimal effort because I put so much effort forward for so long. And when you see me, you're gonna see me in traffic because I'm not chilling on nobody's bench no more. You're gonna see me on a flight. If you see me at all, because we probably didn't even go places.
I hear you. I hear you.
So that's the closing words for me. But I'm thankful that you thought of me when you thought of me, and at this time, because maybe times before would have been optimal. You know, so I'm just proud of you having a podcast, being somebody who is exposing others to inspirational situation stories or whatever the case may be, because we can never stop believing. You can never stop hoping, you know, and when you lose that, and I think that's a good thing about podcasts, you hear people's perspectives, right? And then it gives you a different outlook on things.
Totally. Totally.
My husband was just watching a podcast before I even started, you know what I mean? So it's the barbershop one. I forget. I don't remember all these people.
Yeah.
But I thank you, and God bless you. God bless your wife. God bless your path and your journey, and you know, much respect, Hector. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, man. And like I said, you know, everyone, you know, there's so many stories, there's so many people in my life, right? When I really sat down and I really think about it, I was just like, man, how the hell am I gonna fit this? You know, how am I gonna do this? So when I, you know, and it's just so many people. And you know, and it's like there's people that I don't even know, and they're just trying to like, oh nah, come on, give me a show. And I'm like, I gotta get through the people that I know first to get to that, if I even want to do that. You know what I mean?
Well,
and so, but it's the stories from people that I know are very impactful. And I know that your story is a story that someone will listen to and be like, you know what? Okay, yeah. You know what I mean? It's relatable. It's something that you can take and you can just be like, you know what? She made it out of that. I can do the same thing. You know, and it's kind of taking the strength of those stories and leeching off of them until you're able to stand on your own too. And you know, and like I said, I thank you for your time, and I thank you for your story. I thank you for your strength, for your friendship, for you not beating me up back in 2007. Yeah, okay. Now you are. But in all seriousness, I appreciate you, and you were one of the people that kind of co-signed me to be down here. You know, there's a lot of people that when I first started working down here, and like, well, who are you? Where are you from? And all this stuff, and you know, and you kind of helped me understand what the Lower East Side was about, the culture, you know, and what that means, and why people are so proud to live in the Lower East Side and stuff like that. So I thank you for your time. This has been Shaheeda Yasmeen, the Queen. I have been Just.Hek, and this is just another podcast. Be safe out there. Take care. Have a good night. And thank you for listening.